Hi, Statesman Nation. Welcome back to Wood Iron Grill. We've been away from the restaurant for a few weeks. We're so excited to be back in front of a live crowd after being in the office for the last few weeks. So excited to be back. We're excited for the few guests we have this week. Most notably, our new AD, Alicia Rabideau. So thank you, Alicia, for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Okay, we're just going to get right into it. Both of us are normally not in front of the camera, so we're gonna suffer through here and make this work. But all right, let's. You're just over. Actually, it was last week was your first. Last Thursday was your first day. So let's talk about what was the first week like in the AD seat.
Yeah, I think the first week went really well. Overall, I think I had a great mentor in Nick Rule, and he really prepared me well for this. And so I felt like it was a really smooth transition. So I credit him for allowing me to be ready, but I also feel like the last year and a half I've been fortunate enough to be in a lot of the decision making along with him, and so we were a really great team. And so I felt like he really prepared me for this, and President Madison as well. And so I'm just really excited that overall I felt ready for it, and it was great. Coaches were great, student athletes were great. We had a lot going on, but it was fun to kind of hit the ground running.
All right, talk about your background, not so much your background, but the background of why you wanted to get into athletic administration.
Yeah.
There we go.
I think, I grew up in the world of college athletics. I, was a college athlete myself, and I had really great coaches and mentors and athletic directors along the way, and I know how much they impacted me, and, I want to be able to give back and do the same thing. And so if I'm able to impact student athletes, coaches, support staff, anybody in a positive way, that's really what, my goal is overall. And so I want to be able to serve those people the way that people served me. So overall, I just want to be able to touch lives and hopefully make things a little bit better along the way.
All right, going back to mentor Nick Rule, we talked off camera about all the things that he instilled in you, all that advice. Can you pick out a couple things that you're willing to share with others about some of the things that he said? Hey, this is really going to help you along the way.
Yeah, I think there's one thing that really stands out to me, and Nick, I can't say enough great things about him, but he's been amazing. But the number one thing is how important it is to not take leadership roles lightly, and to understand that when you are in these positions, you have to make really hard choices and really hard decisions. And it's important to understand that those decisions have ramifications, and to understand, what the domino effect is when you make those decisions, and to always, think twice, act once. And so I think that's something that I've really appreciated from him, and to really look at, when you're making hard choices, to look at all the different angles, and to think about everybody involved, and to, ultimately do the what has to be done and the best choice that you're making. But you got to think kind of about everything, and I know he has had to make a lot of tough choices along the way, and I've got to be a part of some of those, and so I feel like I'm prepared for that next step. But I think overall, that was probably the best advice he's ever given me.
It's always tough to be in the seat where everybody questions everything that you do, right? And all you just hope is that you're not going to please everybody, but please as many as you can. All right, last but not least, what is your legacy? What do you want your legacy to be? I've already had several years here at William Penn, but when it's all said and done, how do you want people to remember you?
Yeah, I want people to remember me for being very kind, being empathetic, putting others' needs above my own. But ultimately, I really want to serve our student athletes, our coaches, our support staff, and the institution as a whole. And I want people to remember me by always, doing what needed to be done, but being kind along the way, and listening, and being there, and ultimately being reliable, and just being there for everybody, and knowing that they can come to me for whatever it may be. They can always come to me.
Awesome. All right, once again, Alicia Rabideau, our new athletics director here at William Penn, just a week under her belt, but already ready to get after it. So thank you, Alicia, so much. We're going to let her go. We'll be back in a minute with another guest on the Coaches Show. Welcome back to the Coaches Show here at Wood Iron Grill. Second guest tonight is the one, the only, John Henry of the men's basketball team.
Yeah.
He's like,
I appreciate the applause. It's good to hear it. It's good to hear it once in a while.
Coach, it's been one of those years, one that we've to be honest, in my 20 years, it hasn't happened.
It's not been one of those years,
It's
Wade.
been the only year, to be honest.
The only year. There you go.
That is true.
And it will be the only year,
Yes,
trust me.
love to hear that. All right, so we're not going to talk about all of that stuff, but we do have to talk about the upcoming game, Baker, including the 4 seniors that are going to be recognized on Saturday afternoon. So let's get into that a little bit, talking about, just you played Baker once already. What did you learn from that? But let's talk about those 4 seniors you're going to recognize.
Well, first and foremost, always look forward to senior night, and anytime somebody ends their career as a statesman, I take it very serious. And whether we've had a tough year or not, it'll be the same thing. It's nothing but love. If you put in the time and effort, I mean, even though the scoreboard doesn't look like it used to, it's the same. On senior night, that is.
Right.
On other nights, it's not. Sorry, Alicia. Baker's really good. They're well coached. It'll be a tough contest for us. And I actually think there's more than 4. I'm not even going to get into mentioning all those 4 because I want to make this short and quick because I'm trying to get to my niece's JV game at Penn. CJ Jackson is my niece. She plays for the Penn JV team, and my wife just went out there. But these seniors, to me, sometimes when you struggle and they never quit. To this day, they have not ever quit, but they're just not winning. So they'll be special in a lot of different ways. What's your next question?
I was just going to say, within this group, any fun memories you have of them? I know you're going to say some of them
absolutely.
on Saturday, but just give me a couple.
No,
and then
we've had a great time recently. Last week we played dodgeball, and I'm sure Dr. John Ottison's loving the fact that my practices are dodgeball and not free throws or 3-point shooting. We had another day where we had a fake fight, and Bailey thought it might have been a real fight. I think I got shanked like 3 times. Oh, I got, Bailey's talking about it. But that's because the other 2 times we've done that, I had headlocks on players. It was fun. We're trying to keep it light. No one likes to lose, especially when, I don't mean this arrogantly, but especially when you have all those banners. And the kids feel that, they feel like, they're starting to feel like failures, and we want them to not feel that way. We want them to feel like statesmen. And when we get this righted, there'll be guys that will want to come back, and stuff like that. And it's not been as horrible as everybody thinks. I hate losing, but at the same time, these kids have not been difficult to deal with. Now, yes, we have some departures. We have some injuries. We have some guys that we had to let go. But the kids that are still with us, and that's the kiss of death, for any employer, and I see many important people over here. When you say stuff like, we just got good kids, that's not normally something that is always the greatest thing, because when you're winning all the time, you say, Brandon Beasley's really good. We play really good defense. When you're losing, you say stuff like, we got really good kids. And I want to be honest with you, we really do have the remaining roster is really good kids. We're just not winning. We struggle to score the ball, and I don't care if they're watching this or not. They know it too. We struggle to score the ball. We turn it over at a high rate. We have a hard time remembering things. It's hard to watch, but just know that every day we show up And every day we do the best we can, but it's just not gone our way. The one thing I will say, and I hope this is the last time you have me on.
It'll be the last time I have you on. Let's go with that.
Right, okay. Is that it will not be like this next year. It will be back. It will be back to business next year.
Well, I was just going to say, the consolation of all of it is there's a lot of ways to win, and you guys are finding that out this year. It might not show up on the scoreboard, but you're finding out there's so many other things.
I want to reiterate, though, that these kids have done their very best. But it ain't going to be like this ever again.
Okay, well, thank you, Coach, once again. Statesmen on back at home on Saturday against Baker, 4 o'clock start for Senior Day. Once again, John Henry of men's basketball. We will be back in a minute here on the Coaches Show. Welcome back to the Coaches Show. One final guest here tonight. We are joined by head men's and women's golf coach Elise Warren.
Hi, thank you. There we go. How's it going?
We're great. All right, Coach. In the middle of the off season, the mid season, all of that. So not a lot of stuff to talk about, but there is a lot of stuff to talk about. So we're going to get right to it. Talk about this off season and what it all entails when you guys are indoors. Obviously, I mean, we've been lucky the last few days. It's been nice weather, so hopefully you've been able to get out to the range. But if not, what is it like, working in the north during the off season in between fall and spring?
Yeah, we actually had an incredible fall. The season went really, really long, so that was awesome for our players. And then, yeah, we've had a really great spring so far. So we can't get out to our golf courses locally so far, but I know some of our players have taken advantage and maybe traveled a little bit to go play. I know there's a couple of golf courses, in Iowa region or even down in Missouri that are already open. So sometimes they're taking advantage of that, which is great. But we have excellent indoor facilities. We're deep into our spring practices, getting ready for the season, and we've made some upgrades the last year or so since I've been here, and lucky enough to be able to upgrade the technology we've had and the facilities, and introducing a new putting green. So thanks to some help from the Booster Club and things like that. So we're really grateful and thankful for all the facilities we have. And they're really taking it by stride and keeping the competitive levels up. So I'm really liking the way we're trending right now. Yeah.
So what are some of the things that you've been working on during the off season? Again, you talked about that indoor facility. You've got a putting green. You've got the virtual hitting. I mean, you can hit on the turf. So pretty much everything available. So is it pretty much just working on normal stuff?
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of fundamentals, and this is the time of year where if we needed to make a change, technically, this is when we would make it. You don't really want to make those technical changes in season, so we have the technology with our full swing launch monitor, and we have some statistics programs, Decade, that we use to analyze weaknesses in their areas and give them measurable feedback so that they can improve this off season and throughout the spring. So that's been a really big thing for us, is keeping it competitive, keeping it fun, and really focusing on fundamentals and making sure that we've got those things checked off. It's nothing fancy, but we try to make it fun, so it's not so boring,
Yeah. It's a grind, right? But I mean, that's part of the season. Part of the off season, you're not obviously able to see a lot of recruits in action, but it is a big part of the recruiting process. So how has recruiting been going for you guys?
Yeah, it's a challenge that every coach has to figure out and find the people that are going to fit in their program. We work all year round on this, and like you said, we don't actually go out and see players play at this time of the year, but we do a lot of our communication at this point of the year, phone calls, meetings, virtual visits, on-campus visits, things like that. So it's been trending really well. You're never satisfied. You always want more. You always want to do better. But we've had some really good signings so far. On the men's side, we've got our one from Phoenix, Arizona. We've got South African on the women's side, and 2 Iowans so far. So we're trending in the right direction, and talking to a lot of kids who, I think are going to really have an impact on this program. So it's exciting. This second year of my second recruiting class. So I'm just excited. It always gets me hyped up when a kid wants to come to the Statesmen.
All right, I'm going to throw you a curveball. It wasn't on the list, but I always like to work off the list a little bit too. Talk about what you learned from the first year to the second year regarding to recruiting. Excuse me. Obviously, some things are like, man, I wish I would have known that the first year.
That's a good point. I think the first year you take a lot of the losses personally, and it just takes a process of going through it and experiencing those rejections. It happens. Like I'm looking at a bunch of kids, and they're looking at a bunch of schools, and I'm not going to get every recruit. So. The recruits that you have high hopes for, sometimes they don't work out for whatever reason, and you just got to have a short memory and move on. I enjoy it, and I have better processes and things now than I did previously, and I'm really using my staff a lot better. My 3 GAs have been instrumental in helping this year and taking a bit of a load off me as well. So a little bit more delegating as well has been helpful.
Look at you getting smarter. Good job.
I know.
All right, spring break coming up in just a few weeks. So let's talk about where the Statesmen headed. What are you hoping to get out of that trip?
Yeah, so we're heading down to Dallas. It's going to be a great trip. We're going to take the whole team down. Our varsity is going to play their first tournament while they're down there. It's going to be a great tournament. It's actually going to be a play 6, take 4 tournament, which is going to be kind of fun. So it's a good tournament to sort of kick off the year. And then, we'll be down in Dallas. We'll do a few fun things. I don't want to mention it in case anyone's watching, because there's a few surprises in there. That's really when our season gets kick-started. So hopefully we're outside by that point. You never know with the Iowa weather, but we'll be full steam ahead for the next 6 to 7 weeks until conference. So that's it's the fun part where we get to go on a big trip together, and it's really important for our program and everybody. It's always a highlight of the year, so we try to make it enjoyable and give them an experience that they don't normally get on a regular trip.
Yeah. Exactly. They get to have a very long road trip together and all of that fun stuff, all the songs, all the smells, all of that fun stuff, right?
Oh yeah.
All right. We'll definitely talk more, and we'll have you on the show in probably a few weeks or whatever, talk about the expectations for the year. But thank you so much for joining us here. Once again, thanks for joining us here on the Coaches Show. We have definitely some events coming up down the pipe. Senior Day for the men's and women's basketball team on this Saturday, 2 o'clock for the women, 4 o'clock for the men against Baker. Just to also put a plug in for the 2 wrestling tournaments we're hosting, the Heart of America Athletic Conference Championship for the men will be next Friday and Saturday, the 16th and 17th, in the Penn Activity Center, and then the following Saturday, the 24th, the women will be hosting the Heart of America Athletic Conference Championship. So, as always, Statesmen put on a great show, so we want you to all come out and make sure we cheer on the Statesmen. It'll be the national qualifier for the men and the women, so lots of other games coming up as we get the crossover going into the spring. So once again, thank you for joining us. We are fully back now at the Wood Iron Grill for the rest of the year, so excited to be back here, and go Statesmen. We'll see you next week.